The wind of Nordvind howled above the stone-boned village of Frostmark, etching names and stories into every roof and hidden corner. Here the sea met mountains like daggers, and the sky was a tapestry of ever-shifting spirits and ancient aurora. Long before the gods were distant, before the runes were secrets whispered in burial halls, Frostmark braced itself against the unseen, every citizen a thread in a tapestry that fate rewove nightly. Erlin, youngest daughter of the huntress Hasla, knew little of peace, but much of longing. Her eyes, pale as mist over the harbor, seldom closed in sleep. Night after night, she watched for her father, lost to the retreating ice floes. The legend of his disappearance had become local myth, though Erlin clung to memory, his laughter tossed in midnight snow. His story spun with the certainty of one who believed in what lay beyond the sea's edge. On the eve of the wolf moon, a storm swept through Frostmark stronger than tale or memory. Erlin stood at the threshold of her family's stone hut, arms filled with moss and driftwood, and felt the world tremble. Lightning cracked above the gathering hall, throwing runes into savage relief. In that moment, as every villager rushed inward, a stranger arrived. Tall, cloaked in weathered sealskin, their face veiled with silver cloth, the visitor paused outside the ring of light, one hand resting on a tarnished iron staff. Muttering words none remembered, they traced patterns into the snow. Circles, intersecting lines, a single spiral at the center. The crowd shuddered, sensitive to magic's echo, yet Erlin felt, not fear, but a pull, as if her unknown heart recognized kin. The village elder, Ulfr, stepped forward. "Who dares the Moonsong Night?" His voice was stern, but not unkind. The stranger removed the veil and cleared their throat, revealing a face shaped by shadow and wisdom, but marked with a peculiar warmth. "I am Scotty," they answered quietly, "not of gods nor ghosts, but one who rides the wind, bearing rune seeds from the north. Frostmark's song called me when the night grew long." Ulfr nodded gravely. "This land is old, older than war or reindeer or stone. If you bring omen, speak." Scotty traced a rune in the snow, whispering to the aurora above. Shadows shifted, the storm calmed, and every villager saw the lights hinge into an unfamiliar symbol, a rune none had seen before. Erlin was transfixed. As the crowd whispered, Scotty's gaze found her. "Child of longing," Scotty murmured. "The wind feeds on memory, and memory guides destiny. You must walk north, past shadow and ice, to reclaim what was lost, or the sea will swallow Frostmark whole." Hasla, Erlin's mother, stepped forward, clutching a javelin. "No child leaves while the storm still sings," she said, fierce but trembling. Scotty's eyes met Hasla's. "Often, only those who grieve are chosen by fate. She will need a companion, one with wings." The room erupted in murmurs, but Erlin's heart leapt. She remembered the tale of the winged falcons, spirits that led true-hearted travelers across wild country. At dawn, Erlin prepared for departure. Scotty gifted her a pouch of rune seeds and a fragment of Aurora's stone. Hasla packed dried fish, tough bread, and a prayer into her daughter's cloak. Ulfr arrived with a map burned onto elk skin, showing the northern borderlands, a wilderness woven with myth and peril. Erlin's closest friend, Berger, pledged to follow. He was quick-minded, timid, and bore dreams of his own father lost to frigid surf. Through stone gate and icy stream, across wind-raked pines and whispering marsh, Erlin, Berger, and a spectral wind falcon, named Svanna for the dawn, walked out of Frostmark, destined for the unknown. The sky broke quiet behind them, and the stranger's rune pulsed overhead, promising both catastrophe and rebirth. The journey was not gentle. Days blurred into snow and silence, fire and laughter, wounds and songs. At every campfire, Scotty's rune whispered to Erlin, showing glimpses of a world unmade, then restored through memory and sacrifice. They encountered tribes whose names were lost to history, river dwellers who spoke with stones, mountain people whose faces gleamed with aurora, and skywalkers who never touched ground. Each taught Erlin one piece of the puzzle: how to turn grief into courage, sorrow to compass, longing to song. Berger too grew in stature, learning that fear could make warriors and friendship could forge heroes. When the wolf moon returned, Erlin bore new scars and deeper wisdom. At the Black River, the winged falcon guided her to an ancient cairn. Beneath it, the stone bed cradled a fragment of legend, warm as sunlit blood. When Erlin touched the stone, her father's voice filled the air, unresolved, aching, and whole. "You must face the veil, child," he called. "For every Viking carries shadow and memory, pain and promise. The gods watch those who choose, not those merely born." Skadi reappeared, their seal cloak whirling, now with an iron mask worn over the eyes. "The time is upon you, Erlin," Skadi intoned. "You have walked the line between old and new, between grief and joy. Now, in the lands where sun meets ice, you must face the ultimate ruin." Berger stood beside her as the sky raged overhead, aurora boiling into golden flame. Erlin gripped the stone, winged falcon circling, as the veil shimmered. And in that cosmic dance, she crossed the threshold Vikings only find when myth and memory collide. The winged falcon, Svanna, sailed ahead, her wings glinting with moonshot silver. Erlin and Berger picked their way across the wastelands, bergs jutting from frozen earth like the jaws of dead giants, while legends whispered in the ice. Every legend in Frostmark warned travelers not to linger in these borderlands, but destiny rarely deferred to caution. By the third dawn, Berger limped, boots soaked through, clutching the elk skin map. "Too cold," he muttered through clenched teeth, yet determination burned behind fear. Erlin offered him the aurora stone, warm in her palm, and rations, broken bread and fish dried hard as fate. As they pressed north, the sky revealed a rare gift, the aurora swirling in warrior shapes, runes carved in the color of regrets and hope. Svanna shrieked once, an omen, and banked toward a thicket where the snow was split. Erlin drew her blade, Berger his knife, and together they discovered a half-buried longhouse, timbers groaning in the wind. Inside sat a woman with hair like spun salt and armor made of hammered tree bark. She glanced up, a knowing smile curling her lips. "Welcome, children of memory. I am Eleonora, keeper of the flame well. This place is for those who carry grief into the wild. For only in the wild does grief become wisdom." The flame well, a circle of stones ringed by the bones of antler and bear, flickered with fire neither red nor orange, but blue, the blue of the deepest frost. "To gain what you seek, you must each name your greatest sorrow," Eleonora intoned. Berger hesitated, eyes wet. "I grieve for my father, lost to the northern sea. I never knew his voice." The flame sputtered, then flared. Erlin took her turn. "I grieve for our home, always teetering at the edge of loss, and for my father, whose fate I must unravel." Eleonora dipped a branch in the well, handed a flaming tip to each. Sorrow named his passage paid. Now the gods may watch, but only you must walk the path. Beyond the longhouse, the land grew stranger, trees wearing mantles of frost that rang like chimes in the gale, shadows shifting as if memory itself tried to take shape. Night came heavy and slow. Svanna nested overhead, feathers puffed. Berger dreamed aloud beneath the stars, his voice barely a whisper. "Do you ever wonder if the gods grieve too?" Erlin nodded, eyes tracing constellations. "They must. Their names change with every loss. Like ours." A sudden howl shattered the quiet. A pack of wind wolves, mythic creatures said to thrive on forgotten stories, surrounded the camp. Berger froze. Erlin drew flame. Svanna dove with a shriek. The wolves circled closer, eyes gleaming gold and blue. Eleonora appeared in the well's entrance, her hands raised. "Not all wolves hunger for flesh," she called. "Some hunt for memory alone. If you give them your deepest hope, they will let you by." Erlin, trembling, closed her eyes and offered her hope, that I return stronger, able to remake what grief has broken. The wolves paused, leader tilting his massive head. Berger whispered a dream into the night, that I become more than who I mourn. One by one, the wolves dissipated into mist, until only a tuft of frost and a memory lingered. The next morning, the landscape had changed. Snow melted away to reveal fertile earth. Eleonora beckoned them to follow her beyond the flame well, into an ancient grove where runes grew on tree trunks like fruit. "The deeper you journey, the more you will find. But you must accept, Every answer carries new sorrow. In the grove's center, a monument to those forgotten glimmered, carved faces, hands intertwined, each pair caught mid-song. Erlin touched a rune, feeling the pulse of lineage. Images stormed her mind, warriors reciting poetry, mothers birthing joy after terrible loss, children building cairns for futures unseen. Eleonora spoke softly. Your tale is your own, but it carries the weight of all who came before. Do not flinch when the path grows dark. Erlin promised, voice clear in the frozen air, we will not turn away. We will name it all, grief, hope, love, and tradition. May the gods watch and, for once, remember. Together, Erlin, Berger, and the wind falcon walked on, out of the grove, into the lands where fate and myth entwined like flames and shadows, each step echoing all the emotions laid bare. The land ahead twisted into unfamiliar beauty. Ice gave way to wild meadows where winter lingered only in the wind. Erlin, Berger, and Svanna strode beneath sun-streaked clouds. Their journey now bore a rhythm, each step a braid of courage and vulnerability. Midway through the golden fields, they encountered a figure hunched over a ruined shrine, chiseling at an ancient, moss-covered stone. His hair gleamed bronze in the morning rays, his hands battered but skilled. I am Torvid, keeper of unsung stories. He introduced himself, not looking up. If you walk this way, you must answer riddles only grief can solve. Berger, curious and cautious, asked, what riddle do you offer? Torvid drew a circle around them with a stick, then posed. What is it that every Viking loses, but some discover anew? Erlin's answer, soft but certain, purpose. Torvid smiled, eyes blinking away sudden tears. You may pass, but first carry a fragment of my tale. My beloved vanished in the last frost. If you reach the mountain, cast this token into the fire that never dies. He handed Erlin a bone pendant carved with runes. The group pressed onward, now four, Erlin growing steadfast, Berger shedding old fears, and Torvid's sorrow binding purpose to their quest. The valley behind them faded. Night approached, thick with fog. Svanna faltered, wings heavy. They built a camp by a cold stream, where legends had once claimed the moon was born. Around the fire, Torvid spoke of battles fought not against enemies, but against the certainty of loss. We fear the void, but sometimes the greatest battle is to refuse its silence. The next dawn bore frost on every blade of grass. The companions struck east, guided by Svanna's calls and Torvid's lore. The mountains loomed, their faces craggy and lined with the scars of forgotten gods. The climb taxed every muscle, but hope tethered them together. Halfway to the summit, Berger stumbled onto a hidden cave. Echoes trembled. There stood a woman, pale and fierce, shrouded in twilight. I am Freyna, guardian of the mountain's flame. Her gaze pierced Erlin. Only those willing to relive their greatest sorrow can approach the fire. What will you surrender? Erlin knelt, holding out Torvid's token. I give this, in the memory of searching for my father, knowing he may never return. The cave flared with golden light. Berger pressed his trembling hand to the wall. I surrender my fear, that I am unworthy of this journey. Freyna nodded, her smile luminous. From surrender, the brightest flames arise. They entered the heart of the cave, where the eternal fire burned. Erlin cast in Torvid's token. The flame erupted, runes danced in the smoke. Each rune represented an emotion endured, each brightening the fire with new warmth. Torvid stood quiet, then wept. Thank you, he whispered, as if to the spirit of his lost beloved. Freyna placed her hand on Erlin's shoulder. The journey will offer more pain, but now, you carry wisdom born of fire. Let each loss guide you closer to who you must become. Their descent brought a new certainty. Together, they could endure. The mountain's shadow lengthened as they moved on, every step illuminated by the memories of those who watched and those who were lost. As dusk fell, Erlin looked back. We journey not only for ourselves, but for every story waiting to be found again. The wind falcon soared high, leading the way, as bittersweet hope followed in their footsteps. As spring's thaw crept across the valley, Erlin, Berger, Torvid, and Svanna traveled deeper into lands where memory bound reality and myth. The night skies revealed constellations not seen before, clusters as if the gods had drawn new maps in answer to unspoken prayers. In a misted glen, the group stumbled on a gathering of cloaked figures ringing carved stone altars. Their faces shimmered with shifting light, eyes never quite the same color twice. At the altar's center stood a young man, lean and wild-haired, playing a lyre whose sound matched the wind. "I am Salvi, songkeeper of the lost," he said, inviting them into the ring. The songkeepers, worshippers who believed music mended the world's grief, welcomed all who carried sorrow. Erlin, Birger, Torvid, and Svanna were asked to share one song, the melody a balm for any wound. Erlin sang the lullaby her father hummed on starless nights. Birger, hesitant, found a trembling tune of longing and friendship. Torvid strummed a simple harmony for his beloved, lost but never past the reach of memory. Salvi grinned. Every song is a bridge between past and future, wound and healing. The songkeepers pressed rune-etched stones into the companions' hands. Through music, each stone thrummed with warmth. To heal, you must sing what hurts most. Only then will the veil part. Days blurred. With every evening, the group joined the songkeepers' rituals, their tales growing richer, sadness becoming strength. Salvi, brimming with kindness and wit, became a brother to Birger, while Erlin and Torvid matured, their bond shaped by shared vulnerability. One stormy night, darkness fell heavy, an unnatural silence. The songkeepers grew restless. A howl split the air, and from the woods emerged a figure made more of shadow than flesh, eyes like dying moons. "Beware," Salvi murmured. "This is Finja, delver of regret. She feeds on unsung stories, and her hunger knows no end." Finja demanded tribute. Each visitor must offer their greatest joy. Birger, sweating, gave his memory of first snow, content against all odds. Torvid handed over the laughter of his lost beloved, Erlin her dream of returning whole to Frostmark. Svanna, wings trembling, surrendered the wind's call. As their joys faded, the glen grew bleak, but Finja did not devour, she transformed. In accepting regret, joy is reshaped. Use what remains to continue, she intoned before disappearing into morning mists. The group, joy wounded but not broken, pressed on. As they left the songkeepers, every runestone glowed bright, thrumming with hope rebuilt from pain. Erlin realized, each emotion, each loss, each memory, when sung, shared, and accepted, became something healing. Beyond the glen, high mountains and deep valleys beckoned. In every shadow, Erlin felt the change, the group stronger for all they'd given and received, more capable of facing what lay ahead. Together, beneath shifting auroras, the Saga pressed onward, knowing their journey would forever draw on every emotion, and that healing would require both song and silence. A week passed as Erlin's company moved beyond the Songkeeper's wood. The air grew sharper, mountains looming fast and high, each peak echoing with ancient prophecy. Torvid led, mapping lost trails. Salvi hummed starborn tunes, lifting sagging spirits. Svanna circled ever overhead. They reached a valley where stones slept in great circles, some as tall as giants, others carved with hundreds of runes. It was said these were the prayer stones of Virga, goddess of changing fate. By the central stone, they encountered a formidable woman with spears strapped to her back and a cloak stitched from raven feathers. Her name was Melis, guardian of the stones and interpreter of destiny. "If you wish passage," Melis decreed, "name the memory that binds you most tightly and surrender it to the circle." One by one, the companions obeyed. Birger parted with regret for every lost chance for courage. Salvi confessed a secret heartbreak for kin exiled from their village. Torvid laid down the echo of his beloved's farewell. Erlin, trembling, gave up the memory of her father's face, hoping loss might yet lead to truth. Melis summoned Virga's wind, scattering their memories like autumn leaves among the stones. For a brief moment, each felt hollow. "Emptiness is the price for answers," Melis explained, "but what you gain, if you survive, is yours alone." Suddenly, the circle shimmered, stones glowing blue. The air thickened with mythic thunder. The goddess Virga appeared, her presence felt in every heart. "You seek the veil, where Vikings become legend or vanish forever. First, Face me in the ritual of remaking. The ritual summoned old memories. The companions relived joys, griefs, betrayals, and triumphs as if for the first time. Their pain was raw, but in it, they saw one another with new eyes, stripped of mask or defense. Virga challenged each. Melis must forsake duty for trust. Solvi offer his song for silence. Torvid choose hope over memory. Berger embrace courage before fear. Erlin alone was asked a deeper price. She would carry not only her own sorrow, but the burden of every soul left behind. The ritual ended with the rising aurora, a sign that victory had been earned. Each companion was changed, older in spirit, richer in understanding. Melis, now companion, joined the group and led them toward the edge of the known world. The winged falcon, Svanna, called to unseen heights, promising the way. They departed the stone circle under the aurora's blessing, heartened by new wisdom and bound by trust hard won. Ahead lay the Vale, a place of legend and final answers. Erlin looked back just once, knowing every loss had been transformed, that every emotion, fear, hope, grief, love, would soon forge their destiny. The path to the Vale twisted through lands untouched by sun or sorrow, where legend claimed memory itself was born. Erlin, Berger, Torvid, Solvi, Melis, and the winged falcon Svanna traveled between rivers of mist and forests where trees grew in spirals, their bark etched with age-old runes. Nights here were sleepless, haunted by dreams that borrowed the voices of ancestors and the laughter of gods. The companions learned to share these dreams, piecing together hints of a secret that lay beyond the Vale. At the edge of the world, the group arrived at a monumental gate carved of ice and meteoric iron. Runes pulsed in its surface. Time seemed to slow as a figure emerged from the mist, a young girl with silver eyes and raven hair. "I am Kira, keeper of the threshold," she whispered, chosen by the gods to test all hearts before they cross. Kira's challenge was simple. Each companion must summon the memory they most feared to face and carry it into the world beyond. Erlin trembled. Her greatest fear was not loss, but forgetting, becoming just one more shadow in the stories left behind. As each faced their fear, the gate glowed brighter. Berger confessed his terror that courage would fail him when needed. Torvid faced the possibility that love, no matter how pure, could not promise return. Solvi, for the first time, named his loneliness and his longing for true kinship. Melis pledged to trust those she could not control. Kira embraced each companion, transforming their confessions into runes inscribed on the gate. The Vale began to part, its mist curling into the shape of wolves, ravens, and ancient faces. The company pressed forward, feeling themselves changed in intangible ways. Erlin spoke quietly. "Whatever we find beyond the Vale, let us remember each other, not just as heroes, but as friends who bore every emotion." Through the Vale, the world shimmered with impossible colors. Time spun backward, showing each companion snippets of unwritten futures, and forward, offering glimpses of destinies forged by choice rather than fate. At the center of this land beyond stood a crystal lake ringed with aurora. It was said here, for one night each year, the gods came to name the living and the lost. The companions camped on its shore, hearts raw but hopeful, waiting for their destinies to unfold. As dawn broke, they caught sight of the gods, not mighty and distant, but faces warm with empathy, eyes bright with shared tears. The gods welcomed the companions, offering gifts that matched every emotion endured. Erlin received a braid of runes for memory. Berger, a cloak of courage. Torvid, a stone that sang of love's echo. Solvi, a lyre tuned to kinship. Melis, a ring of trust. Svanna circled above, her song now joined by many others. The companions sat in silence, letting sunrise paint the new world across their faces, knowing that they had crossed the Vale, changed, chastened, and ready to carry the saga home. With the Vale behind them, the company emerged into verdant valleys and glowing forests rarely touched by the footfalls of mortals. Their hearts brimmed with new wisdom, every step weighted with all they had surrendered and gained. Villages dotted the land, each stranger but welcoming, their peoples fluent not only in words but in rituals that honored both grief and celebration. The companions found themselves revered, their journey already becoming local legend. In one village by a moonlit fjord, they met a stoic elder named Jormund, known as Memory Keeper for his ability to recall every soul lost or found. "You bring the light and shadow of the Vale," he declared, embracing them each in turn. "Every emotion you carry becomes a thread in our tapestry. Give us your stories, so we may embolden the next generation." For a week, the companions shared their tales. Erlin spoke of longing and transformation, Birger of discovering untapped courage, Torvid of love's enduring power, Salvi of the melody and kinship, Melis of letting go. Jormund wove these into the annual ritual of Remembrance, a festival by firelight and aurora, where tears flowed freely before laughter did. One night, the village was visited by a wandering skald named Ulli, who bore news from Frostmark and the wilds beyond the Vale. "Darkness stirs in the far north," Ulli cautioned. "An ancient sorrow returned." As the skald sang warnings, Erlin knew their journey was not yet complete. The cycle of pain and healing always returned. The companions debated, should they seek out this new shadow, risking all they'd rebuilt, or remain and strengthen the communities they'd inspired? The villagers pleaded for help, trusting outsiders who understood both loss and hope. United in purpose, the company vowed to venture north one last time. Jormund blessed their path with memory. Ulli gave a map inked in riddles and myth. They left as the aurora blazed, now more than friends, a fellowship forged by sorrow, joy, and all emotions shared. As the journey north began, Erlin whispered a promise. "We end what we began. Darkness cannot erase what community remembers." The saga pressed towards its knot, every heart resolute, every memory a lantern in the wild. Heading north, the companions traversed frost-bitten tundra, knowing the ancient sorrow Ulli warned of was no distant legend but a living wound. As the icy winds returned, each step was a test, not only of endurance, but of everything loss had taught them. Svanna led through blizzards and silence until they arrived at the ruins of a forgotten temple, carved into the cliffside and guarded by runic spirits that shimmered in the aurora's hue. Here, the company faced the heart of the returning darkness, a shadowy figure, shifting and vast, known only as Nornir, the echo of unmourned grief. Nornir called out, voice echoing with 1,000 unwept tears. "You, who crossed the Vale and taught communities to remember, now face sorrow that was never born. Can you name and carry a pain that does not belong to you?" Erlin stepped forward, pulse frantic but steady. "We offer what we carry, grief, hope, memory, courage, not to defeat you, but to bring light to all you shadow." Each companion revealed their gifts from the gods, holding them aloft as the aurora spiraled violently above. Nornir wept, the snowfall stilled. "If you wish to change the story, you must gather every unspoken sorrow from this land and offer it for remembrance." Together, the company scoured the tundra, singing to lost souls, listening to the silence of the mountains, and inviting every villager, past and present, to add their pain to the ritual of reckoning. The ritual became a bonfire on the solstice night, its flames fed by stories, regrets, and love rediscovered. One by one, Nornir's shadows shrank, replaced by rays of golden blue light and new constellations overhead. As the ritual ended, Nornir melted into memory, and the aurora shone without hindrance. All bore scars but knew the fullness of healing. Erlin carried the wisdom of transformation, Birger his tested bravery, Torvid a heart renewed, Salvi the joy of belonging, Melis the strength of trust, and Svanna a song for all who would follow. As they made their way back through northern villages, everywhere they walked, communities became tighter, stories richer, and pain lighter as it was shared. The journey, at last, bent toward its conclusion, where dawn waits for names and legend becomes truth. The long return south was marked by shimmering twilight and stories echoing from every hearth. Erlin and her companions felt the power of all they carried, their own wounds, the borrowed grief of others, and the fragile hope that kept memory alive across wind and wild. Back in Frostmark, home had transformed. Word of their deeds, the ritual of reckoning, and the defeat of Nornir spread, remaking the village's ancient customs. Families now gathered not only to celebrate victories, but to name every sorrow, each tale woven into tapestries and song. Scotty, the veiled stranger who had set Erlin on her journey, returned as spring warmed the land. She stood among frost-bitten stones and uttered the final challenge. You have crossed veil and shadow, naming losses that were not only yours. Can you promise every future generation a place for their pain and joy, no matter the cost? The companions knelt by the old prayer circle, Erlin, Birger, Torvid, Salvi, Melis, and Svanna. Each offered their talismans from the gods, letting them be stitched together into a new banner, the Banner of Remembrance. This banner now flew above Frostmark and every harbor, its runes a living vow. All the villagers, elders and infants, warriors and peace weavers, gathered in a great ring under the aurora, sharing the ritual of naming. For every child born, every ancestor remembered, and every grief confessed, a rune was braided into the tapestry, binding the community's story together forever. Erlin, older now and no longer only the huntress's daughter, was crowned memory warden of Frostmark, trusted to keep the balance of sorrow and hope alive. As nights grew short and the aurora softened to shades of gold, the Banner of Remembrance was carried to distant lands by traders and wanderers. New villages adopted the rituals of healing and unity, and myths of the company's travels reached the ears of future warriors and poets. In the quiet before dawn, Erlin wandered the familiar cliffs, Svanna circling overhead, and realized that the greatest legacy was not her bravery nor the magic they had wielded, but the promise, now kept, that none must bear grief alone. The dawn over Frostmark was silver and quiet, the air charged with the hope of all stories and the burden of all griefs ever named. Erlin watched the horizon from the highest point, the Banner of Remembrance billowing beside her, a symbol not only of her journey, but of every soul who had learned to heal through unity. The village gathered one last time beneath the auroral curtain, elders and children, warriors and bards, each holding a thread, a rune, or a story ready for the telling. At the heart of the ring stood Erlin and her companions, Birger, whose courage now inspired the timid, Torvid, who composed songs in honor of all who wait, Salvi, whose melodies bound strangers as kin, Melis, whose trust made the community stronger than iron, and Svanna, forever the wind's memory. Scotty, the veiled one, stepped forward and raised a final question to the dawn, her words soft as snow and sharp as truth. Will the dawn remember their names, or only the sorrows left unspoken? In answer, Erlin took up the banner and traced its runes on the stone, speaking aloud every name, every joy, every loss ever shared since the very first frost. Each rune shone, weaving a tapestry of light across the faces of the assembled, as if dawn itself was capturing every memory for eternity. The saga ended not with a battle, nor a single hero's triumph, but with the birth of new stories, of unity, healing, and the refusal to forget. The community, changed by every emotion endured together, swore that no grief would be lost to the wild, and no joy left in silence. Erlin, now memory warden, wandered far in years to come, teaching rituals of remembrance in every port and valley. Birger led expeditions beyond the veil, Torvid's songs turned into proverbs, Salvi's melodies taught to children, Melis's banner raised in times of need. Svanna and her kin circled every festival, reminding each heart that memory flies strongest in the company of hope. The saga of Frostmark echoed for centuries, distinct, multifaceted, and unique among Viking tales. Every emotion and every name was honored, as the dawn promised to remember not just heroes, but every soul brave enough to share their story. And in every new village or distant age, when shadows crept near, families gathered under banners of remembrance, asking together, will the dawn remember our names? 1,000 voices, 1,000 hearts answered, yes.